If you like this video, please give it a like and hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell not to miss more content coming soon. Welcome back to another episode of FPL Squad Picks. It's Game Week 28, and in this video we're going to take a little look at the Game Week 27 double. We're going to review the points from there, take a look at some transfer options for the coming Game Week 28, take a look at the team selection then for my team, and then some captaincy options. So let's jump in. So here we have a quick fixture headlines for the Game Week 27. We had to start off with Burnley v Arsenal, which ended in a draw. But saw Aubameyang come back with another goal. So he has a few consistent games now with goals and would return for Burnley and also find himself on the score sheet. So good for both attacking returns for Arsenal and Burnley, but obviously a 1-1, 1 point apiece. Then we had the Sheffield United and Southampton fixture. Unfortunately, Sheffield United unable to find a goal, where Southampton, even though had Danny Ings go off injured, they were managed to find 2 goals. Ward-Prowse then stepping up for penalties as well. So a good result for owners for Ward-Prowse. We had the blank for both Aston Villa and Wolves, a 0-0 draw, but Martinez again consistently getting his clean sheets. We had Leicester managed to get a win against Brighton, even without their 2 injured playmakers, Barnes and Maddison. So Vardy didn't manage to get on the score sheet or any assists in those games, but they're still managing to find some goal scorers. Iñárritu and Amati finding themselves on the score sheet in that game. West Brom and Newcastle, another bore draw unfortunately, but some vital points for both of those teams that are struggling towards the bottom of the table. Liverpool, bit of a shock result again. They just can't seem to shake this losing run at Anfield. But all credit to Fulham, having some good defensive form at the moment, but also managing to find an attack as well. Their goals seem to be coming across the whole team. It's not just one player, so not really someone to be bringing in thinking that they're a good sort of striking asset yet, but definitely someone to look at for defensive assets. Next we have the Manchester derby, and United getting a bit of a shock result to the Man City boys. I know obviously that they look that they've got a good team on paper, Man United, but haven't always been able to get the fixtures where it counts. But it just seems that Ollie's got Pep's number in these games. He seems to continuously get the results against City. Don't know if it's just because City are a bit more attacking and they're able to counter a bit more then. But it was a really good game. Started off in United's favour with an early penalty for Fernandes, which really meant that they could sit back and wait for those counters. But they did have a few good attacking returns also within the fixture. Tottenham v Crystal Palace. You had Bale back again within amongst the goals. Benteke showing his attacking form as well, so half time was all square. And then it was really just a bit of a Kane show. He had 2 assists, and then after Bale got taken off, got 2 goals for himself. So great for anyone that had the Spurs asset there. And obviously he's going to be playing in that Game Week 29 week where there's a blank, so it's a good asset to have, and good that he's been performing on the weeks before. We have Chelsea v Everton. Chelsea managing to keep another clean sheet. Everton unable to capitalise on a few attacks, but the Chelsea defence were just too strong. They, again, another one of these teams that have like a lot of attacking assets, constantly rotating around, so quite difficult to pick someone from there to nail in and have them week in, week out. I mean, even Mason Mount was benched for this one to have a bit of a rest because they have got Champions League football to think of as well. But yeah, definitely if you can look at some of the defensive options. I know Rudiger was benched for that fixture also, but out of the last 9, I think he's played about 8 of the games since Tuchel's come in. So again, more just a rotation, concentrating on some of the fixtures they've got in the Champions League. If you can navigate around when there's no Champions League games on, I'm sure you'll be able to find a sort of nailed-on defender there within potentially Rudiger or Azpilicueta. Next then we have the Hammers versus Leeds. For such an attacking team of Leeds, they were unable to get any goals. They got very close on a few occasions between the usual Bamford, Rafinha, but unable to keep the Hammers out. Great goal from Dawson with a headed return from a set piece, and Cresswell again getting, I think he got all 3 bonus points in that game just due to the amount of involvement that he had plus the clean sheet. Jesse Lingard did manage to earn a penalty, missed the penalty, and then get the rebound off the penalty. So yeah, not the greatest of penalty kicks for him, but definitely happy for him to get the result. Anyone holding him, though, they will be having a blank for him next game week, because it will be against Manchester United, and due to him being on loan at the Hammers, obviously you can't play against your parent club, so just something to bear in mind for anyone looking to bring him in for that game week 29 week. And finally, we had the Man City versus Southampton fixture, which was the only double game week fixture in this week. And Man City having a bit of a point to prove after losing to the Manchester derby and losing their winning streak. Just come out all guns blazing, and it was an absolute storming of a game. Southampton not giving up. It wasn't, even though it was 5 goals past them, Southampton did still try and find some attacking returns. Did have a goal disallowed as well due to being offside. So yeah, they definitely weren't afraid to go and attack City, but obviously left them a bit vulnerable at the back, meaning that they did then concede 5 goals. Usual characters again, Kevin De Bruyne back within amongst the goals and the assists. Then you had Gundogan as well, picking up a nice rebound. And Phil Foden with 3 assists, who was very, very unlucky to not earn a penalty, which would have been another assist, and also get a goal himself. He was in and amongst the action everywhere, so I think he's definitely trying to play for his pace within the team. Even though I think he does get benched a lot of the time, I think that he is definitely one for the future at City, and Pep knows how valuable he can be to them. So he's just managing his minutes, I think, between all of them. And you've also got the likes of Aguero, who came on for a bit of a shock appearance at the end. Didn't do much, but had, I think, one good shot at the end. So between having potentially Aguero and Jesus up front, it just minimises the amount of midfielders that they've got to rotate between. So I think for owners of those midfielders, other than KDB and Gundogan, you're looking at potentially a lot of rotation, and a hat-trick from Mahrez. So he's kind of like the forgotten man a little bit between a lot of FPL managers. It's just, I think if he could do that week in, week out and know and guarantee that he was going to play, he'd be more nailed on. But with the Pep rotation, I don't think that's possible. So here's how my team did this week for the game week 27. Bit of a shaky start. Unfortunately, the City boys not doing much against Man United, but Bruno picking up a 10-point haul. And if you look across the rest of the team, other than Martinez, there wasn't really a lot else. Single digits, 1s across the back of the defence, and 2s up front. The bench weren't even that much better, so no one to sort of worry about being there, having a points haul that I missed out on. So unfortunately, it did mean a red arrow for me this week. The second game for the City and Southampton teams did mean that obviously City did a lot better. Thankfully, Foden played. Cancelo didn't play, but both Gundogan as captain and Foden got a lot of points returned, so that meant did boost me up to a total of 60 points. For this week, I didn't make any transfers, so I did roll one over. So even though it wasn't the greatest of weeks and I did have a red arrow, I think it's put me in good position now going forward. I've got 2 free transfers ahead of that game week 29 blank, and I think currently about sort of 6 to potentially 7, because I think 2 of them are the goalkeepers, so I can only play 1 at a time. But those kind of players I've got sort of set ready for that game week 29 with a good plan going forward to potentially get up to 9, even 10 for that game week 29 fixture. If you like this video, please give it a like and hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell not to miss more content coming soon. So here's my team as it currently stands, and I've been building slowly towards the game week 29 blank. I do still have 1 wild card left. I'm out of all the chips, but I just thought that ideally I'd like to play it in a week where I've got more teams to pick from, and if I've got the time and ability to be able to build, then that's what I'll go for. So I did roll a transfer last week, so I now have 2 free transfers but no money in the bank. The frustrating thing is, looking at the fixtures that I've got, I pretty much could put out a good starting 11 and still be quite happy with that team. But I think I really need to obviously utilise that 2 free transfers this week and at least make 1. Because I've only got, I think, 6, potentially 7 with the double goalkeepers. But obviously only 1 can play in that double game week, in that blank game week 29. So I really need to build an extra few players to put in for that game week 29. So the thoughts around that really, obviously this team has no Spurs assets at the moment, and they play in the game week 29. I think that's where a lot of my points have gone missing really within this squad. I think if I'd have brought those in a bit sooner, I probably could have had a better rank. But I think definitely looking forward, they've got a few good fixtures. This week is going to be a bit of a tough one against Arsenal, but certainly obviously to bring in and to hold for the long term. So my go-to positions for the Spurs players would obviously be Kane, Son, and also now a lot of people are talking about Bale, seeing that his return to fitness and as obviously in goal involvement. Just as a side note, the game that they're currently playing in the Europa League, Bale has been rested. Both Kane and Son start. Kane has already had a good poacher's goal and found the net just by following up from a Lamela off the post. So yeah, they're obviously still showing that they can do it. Son is getting involved with little 1-2s with Kane, some fast balls into the box. So Son is still someone not to overlook. I think as well as Bale has been doing, Son can just get as many as assists, even though he might not be as much of an attacking threat for goal involvement. So definitely look to bring in one, if not two, or even all three of those players. It was a slight thought to maybe go defensive and look at Reguilon as well. He also has been benched for this Europa League game, so it's highly likely that he should start in the Premier League. Just obviously with that, Arsenal have been looking a bit better. They have looked stronger in defence, but also had a few good attacking returns as well, with Aubameyang back in the fold. So I think potentially there's other cheaper options to go for defensively. My only issue is at the moment that to get those players in with no money in the bank, the players that I'd have to bring out this week, so say for instance Kane, I wouldn't really want to be taking out Watkins or Bamford as they have a game in the Gameweek 29 blank, but DCL doesn't. So logic would say to get rid of DCL, get Kane in and make another transfer to free up some money. But you're taking DCL out against a Burnley team that has looked quite weak defensively. So the fixture doesn't really hold up to the move. Same then with Son. I've got two premium midfielders in there with Salah and Fernandes. Fernandes up against a West Ham team that have looked decent and solid, but as we've just seen against City, he can get a return in any game with those penalties, and he's looked quite a threat in the Europa League game, assisting the goal for that as well. So he can still get returns even if it's not through penalties. Similar situation with Salah, blanked in the Premier League game, then scored a goal in the Champions League game. So he can still find the net, even though Liverpool have had a bit of a slump of recent. But they've now got Fabinho back in the midfield. They looked a lot stronger. I think as soon as they start getting more of these injured players back, like Henderson and Van Dijk, I'm sure that the form will return for them. So it would be difficult to obviously choose between them to potentially bring in Son, which would then free up enough money to get both of them in. I think I'd still be I think it'd be 0.6 shy to be able to just do that move straight. So I would have to take a 4-point hit if I was looking to do it in this game week. Which then leads me to the other option that I can see here, that would be to potentially take out Trent, being a very expensive defender, and look to bring in someone like Cresswell. Again, not the greatest fixture against Man United, but with his set-piece involvement, he's shown that obviously he can get some good returns from that, as well as if there's any clean sheets and some good fixtures. There are other defensive options to go for. His defensive teammate Dawson is another good option and cheaper option. Good for potential headers and set pieces, but obviously doesn't have the as much of attacking threat, I'd say, as Cresswell has, given obviously the price he's got there. We've also got another option then across to the Aston Villa defenders. They've got Newcastle this week, which is quite a good fixture for them defensively, and they also play in the Gameweek 29, albeit against Spurs. So not 100% expecting a clean sheet there, because Spurs have been looking quite good recent, but at least you're getting another fixture out of someone. So it's a bit of a decision making. Obviously, do I take a 4-point hit this week just to get those two Spurs assets in? Or more than likely, I think the simplest move would be to just take out Trent. I have thought of potentially taking out Cancelo just due to Pep's rotation, but I think he is the safer option really to take out Trent. There is obviously a great attacking threat with him. They can keep clean sheets, Liverpool, Wolves haven't been great either. That's this week's fixture, but they don't play next week, and I think the week after that then it's Arsenal. So across the next 3 game weeks, they haven't got the greatest of fixtures. So it's a lot of money wrapped up in someone that's potentially not going to get a clean sheet, and you're just banking on those attacking returns. So if I was going to do that, Aaron Cresswell's exactly the same position, really. It's a cheaper price. Potential is not maybe to get a clean sheet, but you're looking for the attacking returns. So I think that'll be quite a safe move. If I took out Trent, free up some money, just roll the other transfer over then to next week. Again, I'd be going without Spurs asset for the game week 28, but then my goal would be to bring in 2 at least assets for Spurs in the game week 29. So I'd have 2 free transfers to do that. I'd have money in the bank then from selling Trent. I could do Son and Kane as my 2 free transfers for Salah and for DCL. I'd be up then to 9 starting players for the game week 29 blank. And there is a slight idea, but not sure if I'm going to be going for that yet. But we will obviously consider that in next week's video. Potential to take out Bruno Fernandes as well and bring in Bale. Now the thinking behind this is that obviously they all 3 of them have a game week in a game in the game week 29 fixtures, whereas Fernandes and Salah don't. But the week after that, I think that it's Spurs v Newcastle. So even if I had to go into next week and still play all 3 of my Spurs assets, that's not the worst fixture in the world to have. It's a really strong fixture for them. So I could pretty much look to just play an entire team without making another transfer in that game week 29 to 30 to then roll another transfer just to cover myself going forward. I'd have 2 free transfers. I'd have a lot of money saved in the bank, and I'd have 2 not premium but sort of relatively high priced around the 9 million mark of Son and Bale to be able to get me back to potentially Bruno Fernandes and Salah as the fixtures change, or even looking at sort of Chelsea assets depending on if we can get one that's nailed in and scoring consistently. But I think my mindset would be more to bring in the Liverpool and Man United assets again. So that's sort of like a long-term idea at the moment, but I think for this week, safest bet would potentially be to take out Trent, hope he doesn't have an attacking return, bring in Aaron Cresswell. The other options might be to go for more money in the bank and go for a Villa defender in either Konsa or potentially Target. He's obviously got another better chance of an attacking return. So I think that's my sort of mindset at the moment. And also, not only the Villa players cheaper, they've got a good fixture this week as opposed to the West Ham game. Yeah, it'll be tougher for the Villa game in the game week 29 against Spurs, but they have got another fixture to be scheduled. So at some point, they're going to have a double game week. I've already got 2 Villa assets. I think having a cheap sort of 4.5 to 5 million defender that I could potentially bench in those weeks where they've got harder fixtures, waiting for that double game week, which should be coming up, I would have thought, within the next 4 weeks, isn't the worst idea, whereas West Ham haven't got another double coming up. You're just relying, obviously, on either a clean sheet or some attacking returns from Cresswell. So here's how my team would line up for the Game Week 28 fixtures. This is without making any transfers. So as you can see, this is my dilemma, where it looks quite solid. The only players that potentially have got a tougher fixture would be the Leeds players. But given the blank Game Week in 29, I wouldn't really want to get rid of those this week to then just bring them back again, especially when I haven't got a full starting 11 as it is for that Game Week 29. So I've gone for Martinez in goal over Sanchez. I think against Newcastle, they're struggling. They should still be without Wilson, although it looks like he is sort of getting back to maybe a return soon. Trent's there against Wolves. If I didn't make a transfer and I did decide to waste that free luxury move, really, then obviously he would be starting along with Digne and Cancelo. Cancelo didn't play in the last fixture for Man City, so I'm hoping that it's a case of the rotations happen for him and then he'll play in this one. Gundogan I've put as a starting position, hoping that he'll still remain as a starting 11 player. He hasn't been benched much. I think he's had only one benching, and that was in the think it was a Champions League game, but then he ended up coming on still around 60 minutes. Fernandes, again, can't go without Fernandes in this, and Salah, two premium options. Got half decent fixtures there where they're more than capable of getting returns from both those games. I've gone for Foden in my starting 11, hoping that he'll see some more game time. He has had a few consistent benching back to back, so I'm hoping now that Pep can see that he is going to be a good attacking asset for the team. And he got 3 assists in the last game, should have had another assist with a penalty, and also could have had a few goals. So he was really, really good in the last game. Hoping that he can continue that through into the Fulham fixture. I have gone for Rafinha. There was an option there to bring in Bamford potentially instead of Rafinha. I think it's a really close call. It's literally going to be a toss of a coin, but I just think that Rafinha being a midfielder and having set pieces, he's got more of a potential to get some return with an assist. And if he does get a goal, it's going to be worth more. And as I've seen in recent weeks, he's been in and amongst the bonus points so often that the likelihood is, because of his sort of impact in the game, he's going to be in that bonus point system again. I'm not saying Bamford can't get anything, but I'm not expecting a lot from the Leeds players, especially after blanking in the last game and against a lot tougher defence in Chelsea. Watkins I've gone for up front. He's had so many chances in the box, it's got to come for him eventually. He's had 1 or 2 goals consistently in the last few games. I was very unlucky in the last fixture not to get a return or an assist. So I think he hit the woodwork twice. I think he hit the crossbar and the post. So definitely someone to keep in for this game week against Newcastle. Calvert-Lewin had been a bit of a rocky road with him in the last 3 fixtures. But I'm just hoping now that he can get something and not obviously leave it all to Richarlison. But yeah, against a Burnley team that have struggled to find that good defensive form as of previous seasons, I'm hoping they can get something. And obviously coupled up with Digne then at the back, who's on set pieces, I'm hoping that he can get some good attacking returns and they can sort of pair up there. The bench I'm quite happy with. That's 4 potential players for Game Week 29 there. I think it's obviously people might want to play Dallas instead of Cancelo potentially for transfer rotation, or potentially even above Trent, because they haven't looked great in the back at the moment. They've looked a bit sort of shaky, and Dallas can get forwards and almost playing that sort of midfield role. But I think now Phillips is back, I just think it's safer to keep him benched and play the other 3 that I've got there that are quite attacking defenders. So as I said, I've got no Spurs assets again this week. I'm hoping that even though it is a sort of tense game, London derby, that it might have 0-0 written all over it, to be honest, and everyone that's got them has a bit of a blank and I can get up the ranks. But I think they're definitely players I'm going to be looking to bring in. So it's not going to work, I think, this week. If I do try to squeeze them into the team, because of the players I'm going to have to take out. So I'm just going to hope that those players I'm going to keep in Salah and Calvert-Lewin do something and can get some good returns, and then it's all ready and set up for 2 free transfers next week to bring in those Spurs players. As it currently stands, I've got Gundogan down as captain and Salah as vice. I think it's a real sort of tough decision this week, and there's no sort of like standout, because if Gundogan plays, I'm sure that's going to be sort of the easiest pick this week within my team, and hoping that he gets a full game, if not at least sort of 70-80 minutes. But Fernandes could equally be placed as captain against West Ham. They have looked quite good defensively, but we've all seen how Bruno can get returns in any game. Same with Salah, fresh off a goal from the Champions League. I've got him down as vice there, but I think between those 3, that captaincy and vice could always be switched around between them. There's also Calvert-Lewin there against Burnley, and Watkins against Newcastle. There's pretty much a bit of a differential. I don't think many people will have them captain. But I think it's hard to look past those 3 sort of premium / cheaper but premium and Gundogan midfielders for captaincy and vice captaincy. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's given you some good thoughts for your team selection and your transfers this week. I will be posting my locked in team on Twitter, which is on the handle at FPL Squad Picks. Feel free to follow me over there. Check out my team when it's posted after the deadline, and you can also see some other in-game banter as the games are played over the weekend. We'll also be looking to create a new video for the Game Week 29, We'll obviously have the same review process and transfers, but I'm also going to try and create another video that will be based on free hit and wildcard teams. So I'll do a few drafts, see what you think, give you guys a few ideas, and look at some players that might be good for that game week. So if you have those chips left over, or if you have a say in thinking that some players are better, then feel free to comment and leave a message, and enjoy and good luck. If you like this video, please give it a like and hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell not to miss more content coming soon. Thanks for watching.